What's up, everyone? I'm Virginie from Better Music, and this is my podcast, Better Minds. On this podcast, we will have conversations about life, health, struggles, and music. I hope this place will make you feel loved and safe, and I really hope this place will make you feel like you can fully be yourself. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to episode 11. Thank you for being here. Today I will be talking with the amazing singer, songwriter, producer, and engineer, Polly Nails. I've been wanting to talk to her for a very long time. She is one of the most inspiring artists, in my opinion. So I hope you like this conversation, and thank you again for listening.
It's great to see you.
You too. It's been forever.
Yeah.
You know, I've known you since 2018.
Good. That's about what I thought too. And I just appreciate everything that you do. I think it's super cool.
Thank you. You're amazing. You're so
Thank you.
inspiring. I really wanted to talk to you.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. Yeah, I feel the same way about you.
We almost met in LA a few years ago, but I think the schedule didn't work.
Yeah, I was probably out of town or something. I'm out of town a lot.
Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah.
here we are.
And now you're in France.
Yep, still in France. Forever in
Okay.
France.
Okay, so you've always been in France. For some reason, I thought you were in Canada before France.
Nope. Big question. How do we balance our health?
How do we balance? I mean, I feel like I'm always like every day I'm kind of like how I have a lot of guilt when it comes to resting. So I every day when I'm doing it, like for instance, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I could be drinking coffee and feeling really productive, or I could be drinking coffee in bed. Perhaps there's something productive about that. There's something productive about taking care of yourself, but the mindset is a little odd. You definitely, I think everyone comes to rest with different baggage. I think everyone struggles to just allow it to be something that they're entitled to. Even the idea of rest versus like leisure, like I think people are more willing to be like, I'm going on vacation and I'm doing nothing than they are to say, I'm going to take a nap for an hour today. And it's like that we have a culture of leisure and productivity and I'm not against leisure, but rest is important too. Like you don't need to go on vacation to rest. I understand it's hard in your own house, or like if you work from home, or if you've got kids, or if you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to like get the space in your own home to rest. But I do find that like it just mentally, like even like yesterday, I took a nap for the first time in so long, and I was just like the whole time, like my mean self was being so mean about it. And it's like, it's an hour. Take a nap for an hour. If that's gonna like change how you are approaching the rest of your day, like do it. It's like food, it's like medicine.
Exactly. I take naps every day.
You do?
5 minutes only.
Do you feel like you fall asleep?
I do.
Or is it you do?
For like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I wake up and I go back to work. I just need it.
Sounds amazing.
An hour would be too much for me, but yeah, my brain only needs 5 or 10 minutes.
Is it the same time every day?
Around 1 p.m., 1 or 2 p.m. Sometimes
Do you have
later.
the same schedule every day?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's kind of boring, but at least I do everything I need to do during the day. So I don't really rest. I would say I just take care of my mental health.
Okay.
It's kind of
And
rest too, but yeah.
and so like is the nap part of that or is there other
Yep.
stuff in addition to that?
Yeah, I also do yoga and breathing exercises and I work out. Also,
Wow.
I do a lot and I was thinking about that. Is it too much in a day? But
Like all of the self-care.
yeah, I think it's 2 hours a day and
That
then
sounds amazing. That's like goals. That's what I want to be doing. Do you have
wow.
any like pets or children?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, that
Thank God.
helps.
I don't have that. Because I won't have a life if I had kids around.
Yeah.
Sometimes my nephews would come and I would do nothing. And this is not good for me.
It's interesting too, though, because like I've noticed that kids, I don't have children of my own, but over the years since I was 13, I've been a babysitter or a nanny, and it's been like a part-time job. It's been a full-time job at times. And now I don't watch kids anymore because I'm too busy, which is good in a way. But I'm noticing though that spending time around children is also kind of a form of self-care to a degree because it makes you have to be present. So like even though if I like I agree with you, if I had children every day, I would be responsible for these kids and it would feel very different than just getting to play with them sometimes. But the times that I get to play with them, with, my friends' kids, my a person that I'm watching for money or whatever it is, which again, I don't do anymore, but I used to. And I actually, like, I really miss it because I miss just like the kids having so many ideas and you just like kind of go into it with them. And next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, I'm actually not worried about this other thing or that thing. And because I'm too busy, like, hiding under this table and getting a pretend like doctor's visit from this kid and we got to draw this picture and now we got to eat a snack and I don't know, it's so present. It's so
So true.
beautiful, you know? But then again, it's like if it's your child every day, I don't know. You can't like take a break from that. So I don't know how to I'm not ready for my own yet, but I have my dog behind me.
It's the same. It's a
It's
kid.
similar.
It's a kid.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to want to like exercise without him, you know? It's like if I'm going to go on a walk or a hike or something like that, I'm just like, well, it has to be something that we can both do. And I don't know, I try to think about it in terms of like my dog knows what's good for both of us too. Because like sometimes I'll just be like, I can't stop working and I'll be on my computer and
Mm.
he'll be like, we gotta go. We gotta go outside. You gotta smell the air. And he's not wrong. So sometimes he's the one taking me on walks, which is
Wow.
nice. Yeah.
So how much time do you spend every day on your music or making music in general? Even working on your career?
I spend all day on it, which I'm so grateful for because when I was young, in my early 20s, I couldn't take the time to like get the ideas out of my head. So I'm 34 now. So between then and now, I've developed a lot of skills and organized my time and had a lot of professional growth. But also, it's interesting, like, it like even now, even though I have the time, it's very difficult to balance everything. Like for instance, today I have to put some stuff in the mail, which is great. What a great problem. Somebody bought merch. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm also going to have someone, like a new friend of mine who's a professional composer, visit my studio, which you can see behind me. And then I also have to deliver a mix for another client. And then, so I'm sort of like, even though I'm living my dream, I'm a little bit like, well, where's the creativity today? So you still have to carve time for making something because there's so much administration once you like are giving it to the world, and I'm sure you relate to this. It's like it's one thing to have the idea and the writing and the contacts, and it's another thing to like make your website beautiful and to make it easy to use and to promote it every day. And it's like no matter how much it's almost like the better I get at both of those things, the more it feels like my brain is splitting in two. Like it's strange. I would think that it would come to me easier, but it feels actually more difficult the better I get at it. If it's like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that it gets harder?
It does make sense.
Okay, okay.
So, how often do you take breaks
Um, like in a day or like over time?
in a day?
If I'm working on the computer on music, like in the studio on music, I'll try to take a break every hour and a half or something. When I'm mixing, which is for I mix for myself, but I also mix for clients. I actually have to take breaks more frequently, but they're shorter. So like because when you're mixing, you're using your ear muscles a lot, so you'll actually get tired and like not be able to hear as well. It's sort of like this same as like if you were like a film editor or a photo editor, like you just have to look away from the screen for a while, like every 30 or so minutes. So in those cases, like I'll literally set a timer and just like kind of sit on the couch and think about nothing or do a scroll or something like that. Um, until I wrap up my mix. And there, I have a break every day at 5 o'clock when Snoopy needs to go on his walk. So that's kind of built in. And I try to break for lunch too. And
You try.
I mean, I
You
always
have to
eat.
eat. I'm the
Well, and
mom.
actually,
Eat.
no, I really appreciate that. You know, this time a year ago, up until recently, I would skip meals because it just I like something about my body would like almost like cut it off, you know? I mean I don't really know actually why, but just years of different types of work where like if you're working in a restaurant or even in college and in high school, there were just so many occasions where it was easier to skip lunch. So I just kind of like carried that into my career, and I've had to relearn to do that, which seems really silly, but to take a minute to eat lunch and to like acknowledge that it actually makes you feel good was kind of a lesson, you know? It was for a long time it was very, very productive to just keep going. And now it's like, what are you doing? Like I don't know if I shared this with you in writing at some point, but for my first album, which was in 2018, which is when you and I first met, the leading up to it, I had to design like the cover and the inner, like the liner notes and all of that stuff. And the only time I had to do it was in an Uber between babysitting and going to a recording session. So like I truly designed this like CD insert or like vinyl insert in the back of an Uber between two different jobs. Like that's crazy to like now I would be like, I can't do this. Like my life, like this is too crazy. But at the time I was like, whatever, like instead of eating, instead of resting, this is what I'm doing. And like, I don't know. You eventually the pendulum swings back and you have to like take care of yourself.
You do have to take care of yourself. As we get older, we need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, my body will ache if I don't. Do you take breaks?
I take breaks. When I spend way too much time on the computer, I just need to get out and breathe for a bit.
Do you take
Sometimes
a walk?
I do sometimes. I usually walk in the morning. It's better for me. And sometimes in the afternoon when it's not too hot. Or sometimes I just need to go to another room and that's enough.
Mm,
Just for a bit and
yeah.
breathe and then come back.
So you lived in the US bef for a little while, even though you're
Nope.
French?
Nope.
No. Oh, you've
Never.
just visited. Okay.
Yep.
Because I was gonna say, do you feel like France has a different sort of relationship with working and resting than,
I feel like Americans work way more and you guys have like 3 or 4 jobs sometimes.
yeah.
And you guys are never home, barely eat home.
True.
Not
I
all
feel
of
like
you, but
I feel like you're like my wife and you're like, you're never home.
but yeah, it's different. Even when you eat, there's no specific time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would get super hungry and my friend would be like, no, just keep going. And I'm like, I'm hungry.
Yeah. I feel like we can learn a lot from you. We should copy you,
You
the
should.
French. Yeah. Well, do you eat lunch at the same time every day?
Yeah, it's noon, maybe before. And then dinner at 7,
Okay.
7 or 8, depends on people. But yeah, we have
Okay.
3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And sometimes we have a
Déjeuner,
snack. Petit déjeuner,
petit
déjeuner,
déjeuner,
wow,
déjeuner, dîner,
dîner.
dîner.
And sometimes we have a
Oui.
snack at 4 or something. It's
Okay.
called goûter.
Goûter.
Yep.
How do you spell that?
Gouter.
Goûter. Right. I
Goûter.
hear it. Goûter.
So yeah, we eat a lot.
That sounds perfect. I don't know why we don't have, I mean, I guess I can guess. I think America is like by definition sort of a lot of stuff shoved together, like a lot of different cultures shoved together, and there's so many different ways of life. And there's no real like central singular way of life. And it's such a big place too. Like different regions have different things, but I think for us it's like in cities it's about work and it's almost like you're like not a human in the same way. So you don't eat, which is, it sounds so crazy as I'm saying it out loud. Like, why would anybody
Well,
treat
you guys
themselves like that?
eat, but in a different way. Like you would eat in a car and driving
Yeah.
at the same time. I saw that.
You're like, I've seen it happen. Yeah, it's so hard to eat and drive at the same time.
Yeah, but I saw that. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah, all the time.
And you just eat really quickly. Like you don't have the
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
I saw that too. It's, yeah, all about work and seems like there's no time for rest.
That
Well,
can't
not.
be healthy. Yeah, it can't be healthy. I think this is such a good conversation for me to be having because I'm I can tell that I'm between two ways right now. You know, there's a I don't want to live like that. And you were about to ask me like how do I take care of myself, and one of the biggest things is that I don't drink anymore. I don't drink alcohol anymore. And I don't know if I were in French culture, I'm just comparing it to you because you're here with me, but like there's many different cultures and different relationships with alcohol, obviously. But I wonder if like had I not been in this like workaholic culture in America, if alcohol wouldn't have become as much of a problem as it was for me. Because for me, it was basically like it just felt like such an escape all the time. And pretty soon my body would like crave it because it's like if you're on tour and you're exhausted from driving and you just want a little break before you get right back into it when you arrive at the venue. Okay, could I have a beer? And then you have a beer and then you set up for the show and then you play the show and then you feel so like sort of electrified from the show, but you have to relax in order to get enough sleep to do the same thing the next day. Then you have another beer. And there isn't like, I don't know, like there's no like built-in nap time or like snacks
Mm.
or healthy snacks. You know, there's tons and tons of bad food out on the road. And it just kind of became this like, it was like an easy high or something, an easy escape. And over many years, I just noticed that it really wasn't healthy for me. And many, I did some research about, you know, people that I admire and their relationships with alcohol, and just a lot of people in acting or just in entertainment, you know, where you're kind of away from home a lot and when your physical self is like kind of part of your like maybe you're a public figure or your photo is used a lot or your voice is used a lot, it can kind of I think every job feels exhausting no matter what. And so basically a lot of these people made a choice early on between alcohol or their career. And I was kind of like, okay, if that's a choice I have to make, I would rather choose my career over drinking. Um, so that's been a really big help because then I don't smoke cigarettes. And so you just save money. You're never hungover. That's been really big for me.
Mm. When did you
Yeah.
stop drinking?
In 2018, at the end of it. So almost 2019. So it was December 2018. So it'll be 7 years in December.
Wow, congrats.
Thanks.
Proud of you.
Thank you. That's so nice of you.
And
I
when did you
appreciate that.
know it was time for you to stop drinking? Do you remember the moment?
Yeah, in, I was having a hard time in my relationship, my Snoopy's dad. And I remember just sort of being like, wow, I really do have to make this choice. Like there's a person who's telling me that this is impacting his life too. And I mean, you just when you're in the middle of it, you don't think about like it's not a clear thing in your head. It's similar to like depression or anxiety when you're just kind of like, I just don't feel as good as I usually feel, but whatever. I just have to continue today. So it really does take another person saying, "Hey, this isn't working for me either." You know, that you're not the same as you're not as healthy as you could be. You're not the same person that I want to be around all the time and I want you to feel better. It's like it's very difficult to have that perspective for yourself. Um, at least it is for me. So that was what made a really big difference for me. And I read a book. I was on tour and I read a book on the bus called, oh wait, now I forget what it's called. The way that alcohol interacts with your brain. And it kind of just demystified a lot of it for me and made it feel like junk food instead of like a normal thing that we all do. Um, so yeah, it just kind of like put the corporate out spin on it all. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not something I really want to be part of, like on a cultural level either. So it was affecting my personal life and culturally, I wasn't enjoying it. I will say though that like I've always loved craft beer. So so now that there's a lot of non-alcoholic options, I've been drinking a lot of that. So I like the taste of it.
Okay. Well, nice.
Yeah.
So, how did it change your life? Stopping drinking.
Well, I have an app and it tracks how much money I've saved. And it's tracking how much money I've saved based on how much I was drinking and smoking at the time. And it's like tens of thousands of dollars. So that's pretty cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's like just money that you would have spent on it if you stayed in the same habit. Um, I think it's like just been it's been a seed that has started my that same mindset of how is this thing affecting my body and my brain in small ways every day. It's really planted that seed. So I'm able to think about everything in that way. Whereas and I don't want to shame anybody who does drink. Like I don't think it's always a bad thing or anything like that. I just for me my relationship with it was that it would affect my life a little bit every day. And in order for me to continue using it in that way, it involved me sort of like pretending that it wasn't affecting my life in that way, because then I would have to admit that it was not always positive. And then I think that that mindset sort of became part of other things. So, perhaps this method of communicating with somebody who stresses me out, I would just be like, oh, it's fine. Oh, I don't need rest. Oh, I don't need to eat healthy. Just all these little things you just start to be like, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But when you stop, then you notice how these little changes really add up every day. And and so yeah, that's been a big change is just acknowledging the impact that small choices have in every moment.
Wow, that's powerful. Do you have any message to anyone struggling with alcohol?
Yeah. Um, absolutely. It's not if you're struggling with alcohol in any way, whether that's you know it or you just don't want it to be part of your life in the way that it is, it's okay. It's a very, very powerful substance. It's interacting with your brain in a way that's very difficult for us to logically like think ourselves out of. It's a chemical thing in your brain. And so don't shame yourself and just acknowledge it's like sugar, it just is it's kind of like an incredible drug, and you can decide what relationship you want to have with it once you acknowledge that it's not a totally natural feeling all the time when you're having alcohol in your system. And so yeah, if you do a little bit of research, figure out what you want your relationship with it to be. There's a lot of different paths to that. And for me, it didn't involve like sobriety groups as much as it has for other people. For a lot of people, I think Alcoholics Anonymous or like outpatient programs are like key to stopping. And it really wasn't for me just because I'm kind of an introvert and being around that many people overwhelmed me. I
Mm.
just really needed space. So, but everyone's different. So for me, like reading a book about it, going to therapy, that was enough. And that was plenty of work. But for other people, being in community, going to meetings all the time, having a sponsor or a sponsee, that's all the difference. So I just think that, find what works for you and definitely find things like people that you look up to who are sober so that you can keep them in mind. Like it's before I stopped drinking, I thought it was crazy that there were people in the world that didn't drink alcohol at all. It just seemed like that was an impossible thing. Like there's this whole room of people that don't drink alcohol at all. There's people in movies that don't drink alcohol at all. It just seemed so insane. And now I'm kind of like, I can't believe anybody can drink and get life done. Like it just doesn't, I've done a full 180. So I think I think it's the culture surrounding alcohol is very powerful. It makes us feel like if we stop that we're missing out on something, and that's not necessarily true. It certainly isn't true.
Damn. The journey must have been hard for you.
What about you? What do you feel like your toughest challenge has been when it comes to taking care of yourself and balancing care with work?
For me, it was my autoimmune disease,
Wow.
which is Graves' disease.
Autoimmune stuff is like really something. So, how long have you had this?
Since 2021.
Okay.
It's linked to my thyroid. And yeah, it fucked me
Yeah.
up. But yeah, I had a really tough year in 2023
Okay.
and half of 2024 because I had a lot of symptoms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Heart palpitations, thank you. I lost a lot of hair, depression, a lot of anxiety, and I just couldn't function. So that's why I felt guilty because I couldn't work properly,
Yeah.
especially last year. But I'm better now. I'm in remission, but it's still here. It's hidden somewhere. But yeah, that was the toughest challenge for me. And I'm going to keep fighting for this because I don't want this to come back or have any surgery or anything.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's just my biggest challenge.
Do you need to have, or is it recommended that you remove your thyroid or something near it? Or
Yep.
what's the, okay.
If it gets worse, yes. Or you have to swallow a pill called iodine, something radioactive. And I don't want that either. Because it
No.
seems like it's not really working because my mom had to do it and she still has issues. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not taking any medication. That's why I do all this healthy stuff every day,
I
which
see.
is a lot of work, but I don't have the choice. Same with you with alcohol.
And do you feel like it's helping? Like, is that what got you into remission?
Yep, definitely.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't tell my doctor all these things I've been doing, but it helped a lot, especially
Is
with
your,
stress.
do you feel like right, that by lowering your stress, that your autoimmune symptoms have improved?
Yep, stress and anxiety. I had to do a lot of breathing exercises and yoga like crazy, but it really changed my life
Good. That's so much.
because
I
it's
should mention,
really linked to stress
right.
and
It's a lot for
anxiety.
your body to take on.
Yeah, so I had to work a lot on my traumas too, because it's linked to that too. So
How did you work on your traumas just through yoga or did you do therapy?
I went to see a specialist, holistic specialist over here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have this kind of specialist in the US, but it's like Chinese medicine. You would
Like
lay down,
acupuncture?
not really, you lay down and then she would touch your body, some parts of your body, and she would be like, what happened when you were 7? And she would try to be more specific
Wow.
sometimes, and you'd be like, oh yeah, something happened. I remember that. And she released all the traumas linked to my disease. I saw her a few times, and then I had to work on these traumas by myself and let go of the past.
Wow.
And for
That's
me,
incredible.
it was because I suffered a lot of the fact that I couldn't be myself, meaning I couldn't express myself because my family didn't allow it to be myself and to be into music and all this stuff that I loved. So
Yeah.
I would just shut down and say nothing. Same for my emotions because I had a
Yeah.
lot of emotions. So I shut
Yeah.
down everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate in a few ways. And I actually take medication for anxiety because I have a very, very hard time functioning without medication. It just becomes like an endless loop of worry. And so around the time that I quit drinking is when I started taking the medication too. But I've tried getting off the medication since I've quit drinking and I still need it. I just like I get so overwhelmed with worry and it's so difficult to explain. It's so much more than worry. It's
Girl,
like a
I feel the same.
yeah, it's
I'm super anxious all the time. You have no idea. Yeah, you have ideas,
yeah,
but
no, now yeah, I do. Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm gonna have you heard of EMDR therapy?
nope.
It sounds like sort of a it's not Eastern, it's not Chinese medicine, but it sounds similar to what you're talking about, where you base like a professional guides you through some physical things to sort of conjure up trauma in your body, and then you're able to let it go. So rather than the practitioner identifying the spots in your body with EMDR, you do these strange exercises that don't seem related to anything, like you'll follow like a blinking light across the screen or something like that. And I guess what it does is it allows other parts of your body to relax, that you like your subconscious parts of your muscles and stuff. Or I'm like making a weird face because I'm not sure exactly how it works, but basically it allows people to access parts of their emotions that are stored in their body rather than having to like think about the feeling. And then they're able to just kind of, so people will do those exercises and then all of a sudden they'll be crying and remember something and they'll be able to sort of like go through it and then let it go. So I'm going to try to do that, but I'm afraid a little.
I bet. But yeah,
Yeah.
you should definitely try. Anxiety is crazy. I was thinking about it like 2 days ago. I do all this, stuff, yoga, breathing, and all that, but it's still there.
Yeah.
I just think all the time. I
Yeah.
worry all the time. I think about everything about the future and all the time.
Yeah.
And it's driving me crazy. I just need something else. I need drugs. No, I don't need drugs, but
I
I
mean,
need
I'm a
something
supporter.
else.
Yeah. I'm a supporter of like SSRIs, SNRIs. They're basically antidepressants, but they can really, really help with anxiety. And I, th- I guess for me, like, I think that when people hear anxiety, they think, oh, a little bit of worry, and they think just breathe through it, you know? But that's not what it's like to live with anxiety every day. To live with anxiety every day, it's not just, oh, I was a little bit worried. We're talking about like every single piece of sensory input is like an iceberg of thought, and it's so impossible to walk through the world like that every day that just the experience of like I take Paxil now and I used to take a drug called Effexor, but I switched to Paxil. And just the experience of like being on that drug for like a week, either of these drugs for like a week, and just the quieting of your brain, the experience of the quieting itself, I feel like is life-changing. I feel like it's very similar to people talk about MDMA therapy, like taking small doses of ecstasy or even of ketamine. And just for people who are experiencing incredible depression, to just experience relief from it for an hour or something, or for a few hours, knowing that that's possible is life-changing. Just having that feeling in your body, having relief
Mm,
briefly, is life-changing because the thing with anxiety is that anxiety is our brains tricking us into thinking about things, that thinking is going to resolve something. And that's not always true. And it's very difficult to get the thinking to just like turn down. So I mean, that's why I loved alcohol without even really thinking about it, because it really would just make everything a little bit quieter for a
mm.
brief period of time. But yeah, I relate so much to what you're describing. It's truly
It's exhausting.
it's so overwhelming. It's hell. It's hellish. I almost Yeah, you need a break from that.
Yep. Do you also plan everything in advance? Because this is what I do all the time. Even when I have to do a trip in like 2 months, I will be thinking about it.
I don't anymore.
How do
I
you do it?
Well, I feel like this is sort of like as I've gotten better at managing my anxiety, the more I've kind of learned more about my personality, and sometimes I'm very on top of things, and sometimes I'm really not. And I feel like planning for a trip is one of those examples. Like when I'm not anxious, I kind of just don't re like I kind of just show up and see what happens. And I never really thought of myself in that way. I didn't think of myself as somebody who didn't plan everything, but it turns out that I am that way. And so sometimes when you recover from something like anxiety or depression, you get to know your personality and you might be different than how you thought you
Mm.
were. So I think like in psychology, they would say, is that a symptom or is that a personality trait? And planning a lot might actually be more of a symptom of anxiety than it is a personality trait. And perhaps you you're a writer, you have a website, you do this podcast, like of course you are good at being organized, but there's a difference between being organized and being worried and not enjoying things as they come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
And if you want a little bit of enjoyment for things as they come, you can have that. You know what else has really helped is CBD, just a little bit of CBD. Um, do you know what that is?
Yep.
Just like I truly like it comes in like a little dropper bottle
Mm.
and it says to take a whole dropper and I take a quarter of that. So I don't take a lot of it, but it's enough to sort of push me into a different mindset very briefly so that I get some relief.
Damn,
Yeah.
I need that relief sometimes.
You do. You deserve it. That's the thing is like it's not you deserve it. You're allowed to feel good,
Thank
you
you.
know? Yeah.
Feel like you're you're my therapist now.
I mean, we got to spread the good cheer. We got to spread the hope, you know?
Yep.
When I first started taking anxiety medication like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I came in one day and asked my psychiatrist, am I having a manic episode? Like, I just feel great. And she was like, no, you've just never felt fine. Like, you've always had anxiety that right now, not having anxiety feels like euphoria, but really, like, you're not actually euphoric. Like, euphoric is like, you think you're not going to die if you do something crazy, or like you quit your job, or like you do these things that are a little bit impulsive. And she was like, you're not doing that. You're just feeling fine. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, it's crazy that you can live with like this low grade gray or like worry and get so used to it that when it goes away, it feels euphoric,
Wow.
you know?
Mm,
Something to think about.
yep. Where do you think anxiety is coming from?
Oh, so many things. It's like, I think like the simplest answer that I believe is that um humans are supposed to be a little bit more physical and involved in what makes up our lives. Like, and you're kind of like doing a lot of that stuff by doing the yoga and the breathing and stuff. Like, we're not supposed to wake up and like get on the computer and just kind of be sitting. It's like we're supposed to like be touching dirt and planting things and making our own clothes and cooking as a group and taking care of each other. And that energy instead is just like short circuiting back into our bodies. And we don't have, there's no physical way for us to like act out this energy that we're getting from other people and from our culture, like bad news and like these endless to-do lists. And we're supposed to be physical beings and like just getting our hands dirty a little bit more. And not to say that like our jobs aren't hard work. They are, but every piece of clothing I'm wearing on my body, I have no idea who made it. The food that I eat, somebody else grew it, somebody else processed it. It's like we're just not connected to the earth, like and the ways that we are part of it. And I honestly think that that's the biggest thing. It's just like it's such a bizarre thing for us to have like removed ourselves so much from every little process that creates our lives. And I don't know. It's like if you took like any intelligent creature, like a dolphin baby or something, and you just like put them in a pond and just like made them be productive all day, every day. And then you were like, why is this dolphin so fucked up? It's like, well, like nothing about the dolphin is normal. Like the whole lifestyle is not what they're supposed to be experiencing. And it doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't productive or isn't good for some reason, but to wonder why the dolphin has like anxiety and depression and all of that stuff is a little bit silly. But like, that's us. That's us. We're doing it to ourselves, I think.
Wow. I'm gonna think about that before I sleep.
Think about a dolphin in a pond.
Oh my God. How do you stay sane in the music industry?
I don't think I do. And I'm curious what you've heard other people talk about on Better, but I think I just like I it really helps for me to relate to other people, hear other people's stories, and to take breaks. Just read a book, watch a TV show, do a little bit of complaining, go on a walk with my dog. Yeah. Everyone's having a hard time. And it's not because everyone is bad at something. It's because life is hard and we all need to find balance, including in music. Yeah. What else have you heard people say?
Nothing.
What do you mean?
I was just trying to think about it because I always ask this question, what do you do outside of music?
Yeah.
And people would say they go on walks, they run a lot, they do yoga, they cook,
Yeah.
basic stuff. But yeah, you do need to do things outside of music to find balance. Because
Yeah.
some people don't do things outside of music.
I didn't for a long time. Yeah. I think also to do art without it being a thing that you're going to show people, sometimes like just writing something and throwing it away, like writing a song and not thinking about where it's going to go. That can be the act of creating without it necessarily being tied to your livelihood or your dream. And it's just similar to like taking a nap, writing a song, sitting down and drawing a picture or writing a poem or something is really, really fulfilling. It can just feel really good to get it out. And sometimes when we've finally reached a point where we're monetizing these things, we forget that like the act of creating is itself really healing. And that's why we started it to begin with. And you're allowed to keep doing it that way, even if a lot of the time you're prioritizing work that makes you money. But
Mm.
you still need to just sit down and like draw a stupid picture sometimes.
Mm. Talking about music, could you tell me about your song, Trigger Warning?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that song, I wrote it on a guitar to start with, and now it's this like synthy, very synthy. There's no guitars on it. And yeah, I don't remember like I think I just felt sad and disconnected. Like COVID was just beginning when I started writing it. And yeah, then I really wanted to play with reverb and a vocal transformer. So that's what I did.
And it's a great song. I love the message behind it.
Thank you.
Always so powerful.
What do you like about the message?
The thing about you is that you always have something to say, and you don't
Thank you.
say simple stuff. It's always so empowering to me and inspiring to listen to your music and to
Thank
your
you.
lyrics, even with the same old song.
Hmm.
It really talks to me, and I just like that about you. I always love that about you.
Thank you. And I mean, that means a lot professionally, but also just as a person. You when you have these thoughts and you write them down, there you are alone. In the moment that those words come out of me, I'm completely alone. I'm not thinking about it as a record, as this thing with all these different sounds, and it truly is just like, should I say this? Like, and it's that little. It's only in hindsight that you're like, oh, of course this is how it goes. Of course it makes sense that this synth would sound like this or the guitar would sound like this. But at the time, every gesture is this tiny choice, kind of like what we're talking about with taking care of yourself. It's just like, oh, should I say this or that? And you make this tiny choice over and over again. Should I go to this chord or this chord? Should I go up or down with my note? And next thing you know, you have a whole song. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Didn't make any sense. Just kidding. But keep writing and keep making music, please.
I will, I promise.
I've been
I can't help it.
following you since 2018.
And me, you. I feel like your love of your you have a special love of what people are building and just this sort of care for the craft, and you're curious and in awe at the same time. Like you want to uncover how it got made, but you also leave room for just kind of the unknown, that there's just this magic to art making. And I think that that's so key. And I think that's missing in our world today. There's a few people like you that I've met over the years that I'm so grateful for. Just this, like, you just love to give people the space to express how they came to it. And that's so key. So thank you. Like having a conversation like this as a musician is like part of what keeps us going. We just need to know that somebody cares about how much we care.
Thank you. It's making me emotional.
It's a
Yeah,
it's a heavy world.
when I created this blog, it was for you to have a safe space to talk about everything.
Yeah, I think you've achieved that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Last question.
Mhm.
What biggest life lessons have you learned so far?
Mm. Something about respecting respect, respecting your little ideas, your big ideas, your long friendships, your new friendships, your work, your rest. You just it I think I tried to minimize stuff, whether it was my own work or the impact that maybe like not a great, like I've had a couple of relationships in my life where maybe I should have moved on sooner. And I think the good, the bad, and the ugly, you just have to respect what it is and allow it. If you give it the respect that it deserves, then you can take care of it. You can give it space. You can move on if it doesn't work for you. You can prioritize it or deprioritize it. Just really honoring the energy that every single thing in your life has. That's been a huge, huge lesson for me. And I still have to practice it every day. And yeah, like the impact of this conversation is huge. I'm trying to respect this rather than thinking to myself, oh, I should have done this thing today because and then I invent a deadline, and then I'm not in this conversation with you, and then I'm not present for this, and then I'm also not answering the email that I thought I would answer. It's like, by not just acknowledging the power that every single thing has, I start to change the value of it in a way that I don't think is that good. It's like, yeah, it's hard for me to describe, I think, but I'm trying. There's an energy that everything that comes into your life has, and sometimes we ignore it because it doesn't look like what we thought it would. We're thinking, oh, I want community. That's going to look like a dinner party with wine glasses and a pot roast in the middle. But it's like, maybe that actually looks like talking to a blogger from France in the morning before I begin the rest of my day. And sure, maybe there's a dinner party too, but this is community for sure. And if you have an image of what everything's supposed to look like, you might miss stuff that's right in front of you. And you can tend to that in your little garden.
Thank you for that, for this therapy time.
I don't know what to say to that. I'm like, I can't help it. Thank you for your beautiful blog and for these podcasts and for the care that you give to them all. It's not unnoticed.
Thank you. It's hard to be noticed these days. I know you see me.
Yes.
You're one of these rare people who actually see me. So thank you.
Right back at you. That's how I feel too. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this conversation. It looks like the episodes are getting longer and maybe better, I guess. So thank you for taking the time to listen to the whole thing. So how do we find balance between our health and our work? It's really hard because music is a passion. It's one of the things that we love the most. So it's really hard to take breaks and do something else sometimes. But I think that taking breaks is key in my opinion. Because if we don't have our health, what do we have in the end? So find something that works for you. Go outside, breathe, walk, cook, sleep, and come back to music. Please keep making music. The world needs you. So yeah, take care of your mind, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.